birthplace of a branch of Masonry that seeks to refute the tired old allegation that the order is only for tired old white men. We are entering a room that echoes with the history of American oppression and liberation. Prince Hall Lodge, named for a Revolutionary War soldier from Massachusetts, founder of what remains a separate, self-segregated offshoot of the Masonic family tree. A brotherhood that has nurtured generations of black American leaders. Prince Hall Masonry counts among its members such community and national leaders as the Reverend Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, powerful Congressman Charles Rangel, and basketball star Scottie Pippen. 230 years ago, in an age when most African Americans in the North and South were still slaves, Prince Hall and 13 other free men of color were installed as Masons by a white military officer. Their initiation was ratified in 1784 with a charter from the Grand Lodge of Great Britain, the colonial power Prince Hall had just fought against. Leslie A. Lewis is Grand Master of Boston's founding Prince Hall Lodge No. 1.
On July 3rd, 1776, Prince Hall started the first black lodge called African Lodge No. 1. Now, because they were a lodge under dispensation, they were not allowed to enlist or bring in new members. All they could do was march on St. John's Day and bury their dead. But as time went on, Prince Hall petitioned the Grand Lodge of England for a charter to act as a regular lodge, to bring in more members, and the charter was granted. And from that point on, it goes on and on up to this date. There are over 49 Grand Lodges in the Western Hemisphere and almost 400,000 Prince Hall Masons. So Prince Hall Masonry has thrived from that date.
The end of slavery allowed Prince Hall Masonry to spread southward, a faithful facsimile of the ancient brotherhood with the same codes and costumes, yet never fully accepted as its equal.
Knowing the history of Prince Hall as we do, Prince Hall was a man that never gave up. And I think that if Prince Hall could look at Prince Hall Masons today, he'd be pleased with what he saw.
The legacy of Prince Hall and his black brother Masons is staring down an uncertain future. This is Richmond, Virginia. 500 Prince Hall Masons are gathering tonight to elect a new state Grand Master. At 48, Curtis Vaughan is the youngest Grand Master of the state. In his opinion, Prince Hall Masonry was essential to black society in the racially charged South.
My name is Curtis S. Vaughan, Jr., and I am a Prince Hall Freemason. During the late 50s, late 40s, and 30s, there was nothing for a person of color to do except to go to church during their leisure hours and to affiliate with the order known as Prince Hall Freemasonry.
I found out that I had an uncle that was a Mason from Providence, Rhode Island. He was also a past Grand Master. And he shared with me all of the thoughts about what he did when he was younger, how he couldn't do this or do that, but Masonry was his door, the door that opened for him.
I constantly saw my father with his ritual, with these strange individuals coming to our home and staying for about 2 or 2.5 hours, and I could never go up where they were, and I could never hear what they were talking about, but I know that they all had little black books, and occasionally they would dress up, put on a black suit and a white apron, and go somewhere. When I became of age, I filled out a petition, gave it to my father, he submitted it, and I was approved for initiation into the Prince Hall Masonic Lodge in Virginia.
Half a century ago, Prince Hall Freemasonry provided a safe refuge for traveling black performers in an age of often violent discrimination. Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Lionel Hampton, Sugar Ray Robinson.
Basically, if an individual of color were traveling from a foreign destination to a new destination, he could always feel assured that if he ran across a brother Mason, that he would be taken care of, that he would have clothing if he needed it, he would have food, and that he would be put on the right path to continue his travels, much in the way that the Underground Railroad functioned right prior to the Civil War.
But that age has passed, and with it much of the mandate of separate black Freemasonry. Each passing of a Prince Hall elder opens the door to a younger man. Freemasonry has endured unchanged for nearly 3 centuries, but the membership is shrinking fast. If the Masonic movement is to survive, younger men must be inspired to follow in their grandfathers' footsteps.
Today, there are so many other organizations, and Masonry has to find something different to do to bring in the younger brothers, to bring in the younger men. I don't know where I would have been today if I didn't join Masonry when I was 29 years old.
To cultivate a new generation of Masons, Prince Hall lodges sponsor a youth wing called the Knights of Pythagoras. Sydney is a graduate of the program.
One of the values of the KOP, and there are many values, but one of the main values I've always saw was community service. The men coming to help the boys, teaching us how to give back to our community. We're 12, 15 years old, and we're giving back to the adults. And that's big. That puts you on a high pedestal.
From Colonel Sanders to Houdini. From Mark Twain to Richard Pryor. These Masons had one thing in common. They were all men.